Hi guys, my name is David Mzee and I do water sports. I do wakeboarding, kitesurfing, wakefoiling and kiteboarding as well. Now as a quadriplegic with bad finger function, no trunk control, I face some unique challenges and I want to share with you my knowledge so that you don't have to do the same mistakes as I did. What kind of board do you need to do water sports in an adaptive setting? So most people think best is to just take a board with a lot of buoyancy and it will make it easier. Well, it's kind of true, but on the other hand, if you don't have good trunk control, you need a seat where you can attach yourself on. That leads to a problem. Once a board with a lot of buoyancy, you being strapped on it or on the seat, turns around, you'll have major difficulties bringing it back up. It's impossible. So you need a board that doesn't have too much of buoyancy. Like the board that I have here is rather thin. It has a wooden core, and when I sit on it in the water, I will sink down. The only thing you'll see are the tip of my shoes and maybe my shoulders and my head out of the water. That leads to a possibility of turning and getting back on the board or getting the board below you again. And that's what you want to do. I've tried different type of boards to do water sports. One that I had was a customized twin tip. This board was really good to go out on choppy waters. It was fast in turning, but I did need more speed to get it planing. Now this board is, most of the line is really straight and you just have the rocker in the front. This board is really good to go kitefoiling and also wakefoiling. With the twin tip, trying to do it, I had a lot of problems. I was nose diving a lot. And with this board, it was way easier to get started. You can find it online and buy one. The first drill I would do with a new board and the new seat is get on the seat, fix yourself, get in the water, and then just find your balance. Make sure you feel comfortable, leaning from left to right a little bit, and see how the board reacts. The position on the board really affects how good you're able to turn. And the next thing I would test is lay on one side and see if you can get up again, if you can push the board below your butt. If you can do it on one side, try the other. Once you've done that, you can try to do a full roll. You try to do an Eskimo roll, get down on one side, come up on the other, and vice versa. And of course, you shouldn't do it alone in the water. Make sure someone is there who can help you in case you need some help. Where on the board should you use some buoyancy? So we've tested a lot. And one thing I can tell you, it's more complicated than you might think. So one thing that seems to be obvious and really works is if you have buoyancy on the top of the board. Actually on this board I don't have it yet, but I want to put some foam there to keep it floating. On the other side, we tried to put buoyancy below the seat. It just didn't work. We had like 3 liters, around 30 Newton, and I couldn't get from side position in upright position again without help, so that was a terrible idea. What we figured out is if your frame and your board are sinking and you need the whole system to get some buoyancy, put it between the legs. It's the best spot to do so. On the other hand, what you can also do is put buoyancy up here somewhere. It's not as good as in the front because it changes the dynamics in the water, but it works. What I can really recommend is get the buoyancy on your own body. That's the way to go. We figured out the higher up the buoyancy is, and the more in the front or around the shoulders, around the neck, the better. Talking about buoyancy, I can recommend what I built myself with the help of a dear friend who put a lot of work in this. So what we did, we took a vest that was actually too big and we modified it to put way more buoyancy into it. What we did is like between 150 and 200 Newton of buoyancy to keep me up even in the situation where I'm lying in the water, backwards, the foil is on and the kite is pulling in the other direction. Where to put the buoyancy? It's really important that you have it as high as possible. So we have a lot around the neck. We have a little bit something around the shoulders. That's important if you're lying sideways. We have, of course, in the front, but also in the back. What else is special on this vest? For kite surfing, I have knives in case I need them to cut ropes. You never know. With my bad finger function, I'm not able to take any knife out that is fixed with Velcros, so I decided to take one where if you pull it, it's in your hand immediately. Then I also put it back into the shaft, which is attached tightly to the vest as well. They're always at the same place. I know where they are. I do some drills to practice that I always know where they are, and I can reach them and get them into my fingers in one smooth motion. I have little ropes on them. They're there to just secure the knives in case they fall down so I don't lose them. What else is special? There is this attachment down here. The reason I have them is so that the vest doesn't move up. I once had the vest up on my ears. It's not that comfortable, so you want to consider having something that holds them down. There's a ratchet on the left, one on the right, and some 3D printed ball to make sure they don't hurt me or they don't cut the neoprene. I can make them really tight and they are fastened just below my belt. The reason is that when I open the belt, the vest is free as well. And I want to be able to open the vest just in case I got below something where I don't want to be. Let's say a boat, for example, or there is a problem with the kite and I need to dive a little bit to get out of ropes, whatever. I want to be able to take off the vest, and that's what's possible here. Is there a downside to so much buoyancy? Well, I figured nearly nothing, but when I was in salt water, it carries even more. When I went kite surfing, I felt a bit unstable because I was so high. So then you want to consider having zippers on the side so you can take some buoyancy out and adjust it so you're stable again. On the other hand, you want to make sure that you can still lift your arms high enough to go kite surfing. And one last thing I love about this vest is it's really high up in the neck. When you're in the water and learning how to foil or kite or wake, whatever, you'll soon get a lot of pain in the neck because you're always lifting your neck, making sure you see what's happening on the lake, looking up to the kite. Can be a lot of stress on your neck. If you can just lay it down, especially once you've fallen and the boat comes back or you take a rest, that's really something that helps a lot. My first chair looked quite different from this one. So I had a frame that was wooden and covered with carbon, and on top of that I took an old seat, a molded seat that I also use for skiing. That's really tight, it's nice, but it has some downsides. First of all, if you transport it, it's always two pieces. The molded seat is not that stable, it can break because it's a special plastic, and I wasn't comfortable taking it on the plane because you never knew in the suitcase if there would be too much pressure in it. The next solution I tried was stainless steel. That was heavy, but it was strong. I was quite happy with that version, but it was expensive to build. It was really difficult to do all the math to get all the angles right. With the next version that you see here, I'm super happy. It's 3D printed and it has a lot of advantages. So all the complicated parts are 3D printed in aluminum. The plans are online, you can download them, you can change them, you can try to build another seat, tweak some numbers, get some more stability if you're heavier, for example. Do as you wish. Between all the special formed 3D printed parts, they're just straight bars, aluminum as well. They are glued together with the special parts, and that's how the whole chair is built. The base plate is very special. There are a lot of holes. First of all, to reduce weight. On the other hand, to have different possibilities to attach to a board, because not all the boards have the same screws, have the same distances. So here you can adapt the plate as you wish. Another thing that we had a problem with the old seat is that somewhere we had water that entered. Here it's no problem because the water will enter everywhere. Looks like a downside, but on the other hand, it goes out everywhere as well. It goes out really fast once you get out of the water, so we solved that problem by not even trying to make it waterproof. What I love about this chair is that we have the seat here and we have some ropes. If you loosen the ropes, the seat will go down more, so you can adjust height just by opening some nuts. It's the same with the backrest. You can just open the nuts and you can go back more or come to the front. What I really love about this chair is that people who are wider than me can still use it, because there is no finish line here like you usually have from the molded seat. You still get tied really strong and you can get very good stability by using the ratchets and the spreader bar. I'll show you that in more detail in a minute. What you can also do is put some Velcros on the back, and then you can adjust some parts, I call them wings, that will give you side stability if you need it. Now this chair is rather cheap. It's way cheaper than to weld stainless steel. This chair is adaptable. If you know how to use a CAD program, you can change the file as you wish. Another really cool feature is that all the forces are transmitted right to the chair. So I don't have enough trunk function to wear a harness on my body. That's why here the harness will directly transmit the forces on the seat. The ratchets allow really tight fixation. I have some dedicated holes here to attach a small rope where you can put the safety leash on. Now the spreader bar has some buoyancy as well, just to make sure that if it falls into the water, it doesn't go down. What I really like about this harness is that there is a gliding hook possibility as well. I can attach the spreader bar to the airplane seat belts, and then I can use the ratchets, which are easy accessible right under the frame, to get me in really tight position. I always make sure it's nicely in the middle so the forces are distributed equally. For me as a quadriplegic, it's really important to get really high safety standards. This is what I have here, because with even a fist in cold water, the hands might even close a little bit more. Even with the elbow, I can open the seat belt and get free. And to me, it's really important to have a possibility to get rid of all the equipment, because once you're strapped to the board and you're in a bad position, it might be that you're pulled downwards. And at that moment, first of all, if you're kiting, of course you want to release the kite. If that doesn't help, you can always release the whole board. Since my legs are not strapped in the back, they will always come out if they get some pull. So I feel maximally safe in this setup. For the safety leash, I created something with Velcros. I really like this idea because it's quite stable, but in the worst case, if I'm in a bad position and for whatever reason, maybe because I don't have the trunk to really reach the safety leash that is pulling in a certain direction, if the pull is way too hard, the Velcros will open and the kite will lose connection. Now, talking about the buoyancy aid, if I put it on, you'll see how the ratchets will go beneath the spreader bar. Then I can tighten them, and that's how I make sure the vest is not coming up and getting over my ears. And one more thing I really like about this seat is that it's made from aluminum. If I travel with it and for any reason it gets damaged, there is a possibility of welding it. It's difficult, but it's possible. Not like if you have a carbon seat, if it breaks, it's just broken. Now, why do I have two different ropes? One of the ropes is to just get the angle of the back right. Now, on the other side, I have something that I had to develop when I started foiling. This special rope, I call it the gear shift. When do I need it? If I do wakefoiling and I get out of the water, I start planing, and since I don't have the trunk function, I cannot really lean back to get the foil flying. So what I did was I just went back a little bit with the back and I started. But what happened next? When I got out of the water, I couldn't plane on the board. I just started flying, which was too fast. So I need something in between. To compensate for my bad trunk function, I will start by pre-charging the gear shift so that I'm leaning forward more. If I get up on the water, I start planing on the board. Now, as I told you before, I lean back and nothing happens. And with the gear shift, I'll go back a dedicated length of the rope, and now I'm in good position to start foiling. What advice can I give you about the kite? For me, it was important to get a kite where the chicken loop is really short. I have one that was built as a glider hook. That's why it's really short. Why does it need to be short? I don't have the trunk function to lean forward and grab, for example, the bar when I'm lying in the water. So I want to be sure that the whole system is as close to me as possible. Another thing that was really important to me is the bar pressure. Since my hands are bad, if the bar pressure is too high, the bar is just ripped out of my hands and I cannot do anything. And one more thing, once the kite is down in the water, it might still pull. If the D-power is good and the pull is not too strong, that will help you a lot. Because once the kite starts pulling, you slowly go down depending on the position you are in, and you don't want to experience that. The most difficult thing for me starting wakeboarding was the bar. I just couldn't hold it in my hands. I tried to do it with my wrists, but it's difficult. So what I figured is, if I attach myself in a kite way, where the rope is directly attached to my harness and the people on the boat hold the bar, that was really a game changer. So not only did I not have to hold the bar anymore, but my hands were free. And now I could compensate my bad trunk and move from left to right just by touching the water, shifting the weight a little bit, which is a lot of fun and really changed a lot for me. I never saw anyone doing it that way, so maybe I developed a new way of quadriplegic friendly wakeboarding. A little advice if you want to try wakeboarding in sitting position. Usually the rope will go between your knees and then it won't stay at the tip of the board, it will be slightly left or right. So if it's on the right side, probably it will help you if you put the right arm into the water, because the board will push you to one side, the arm in the water will compensate for that force and you will come up nicely. Once you go wakeboarding and you're behind the boat, you get close to the edge of the wake, you look down, you're like, oof, that's a bit high. I'm scared of going down there and I might nosedive. Two things you can do. One is put the seat further back on the board. That will decrease the tendency of nosediving, but it might make you also a little bit more unstable. What you can do, what you can try to do, is not even get up there on the wake. Try to get out of the way so that the wake stays behind you, and then you can start playing in there. And once you feel comfortable enough, you get up there, you get a feeling for it, and then you try to go back down. Two things you can try if you're wakeboarding or taking off your fins. It really changes the dynamics a lot. Move the seat forward and backwards. Oh, and the third one, I once attached the rope to the leash of the feet. That will change the dynamics even more. I had no fins on. You'll slide from left to right. It can be a lot of fun too. Try it. One advice that I wish I was given in the beginning is that the people on the boat can help you a lot. So what most people think is, once you start edging and you cannot get off the edge because you don't have the trunk, they try to help you to pull you back. If they pull harder, usually you will edge harder. So what they can do is release the tension for just a half a second. That will give you time to apply pressure in the water, get off the edge and turn the side again. So most people will try to pull on the rope, tell them to relax, give you some length, and it makes it easier for you to turn again. And once you get a good feeling with your friend on the boat, giving you more or less rope, you can do some pretty fun stuff. How do we usually get into the water? Put the board on the side of the boat. Make sure the fins don't damage the boat or the boat doesn't damage the fins. Then you ask your friend to give you a push, get in backwards, and off you go. Now, once you know how to wakeboard, what should you do next? Well, if you want to go kite surfing, use a training kite to get a feeling for it. Once you mastered that, next step could be get on a boat where the kite is attached to the boat. If you steer, you don't have all the pressure on your hands, but you feel like, oh, what is it like if the kite really pulls? Another thing you want to do afterwards is to really feel the pressure on your body. You put on a harness and you try to go body dragging. Now the problem with body dragging, and I can tell you because I tried it on my own, doesn't work. With the wetsuit pulling up my legs, I had no chance of controlling and stabilizing myself in the water. It was a mess. What you want to do instead is go into the water with someone who holds you, pushes down your legs, keeps you in position, and you can play with the kite while the other person tries to get you oriented and stay in line with the kite. How does the setup change from wake to kiteboarding? When you wake, the pull is more to the front, so the seat is more in the back. If the kite starts pulling up and help you get that force, you can move a little bit to the front with the seat. The number one advice I wish someone gave me when I started kite surfing is once you fall, you might get some tension on the lines, which makes it really hard for you to get the board aligned with your kite again. Then you're dragged through the water. It's not a pleasant feeling. Now, what you want to try to do then is to push down on the front lines, because then you get some stabilization. You can compensate for the trunk that you don't have and try to push the board in the direction you want it to face. If the lines are slack, it's easier to turn anyways and you don't face that problem. But yeah, if you fall and you feel the tension, push those lines and you get a fixation point where you can orient yourself and get some help from. There's one thing that I didn't figure out for years, and it's how you turn. So if you're lying sideways in the water, most of the people think to get back up, you just go this direction, sideways. That's not what's really happening, especially if the foil is on. The point you turn around is the tip of the board. So that will make you do a quarter of a circle that you need to rotate around. And if the kite is pulling, that can be really, really hard. So you got to consider that once you're in the water. Also, the position of the buoyancy will help you or not help you to get back in a position once you're on the side, which is the worst position to be in, especially if the kite is still pulling. What is the number one advice I wish someone gave me when I started foiling behind the boat? It just doesn't work with the twin tip. I was sitting as much in the back as I could, and still I was nosediving. So if you want to go and foil, consider a board that is straight in the back and just has the rocker in the front. It will make your life way, way easier. How does the setup change if you go from kiting to kite foiling? Well, what I figured is the seat has to go more to the back. Afterwards, you'll have to find the fine-tuning between the position of the mast and the chair. the closer the foil and the seat are together, the more tendency you'll have to start flying. The more you go apart, the foil behind the seat, the less you'll have the tendency to get out of the water and fly on your foil. Once you're in a good position seat-wise and you're happy with the position in the water or on the water, you can adjust the foil, and sometimes it's easier to adjust the seat. You'll have to figure it out. It's a lot of work, but once you get it right, it's a lot of fun. Now, what is the number one advice I wish someone had given me when I started Sitkite foiling? Without the trunk control, it's really hard to find the balance. So I try to do the same that I do when I kite. I get up, try to plane, and then start edging. With the foil, I had to start edging as soon as possible, because otherwise I don't have the tension on the line. If I don't have the tension on the line, I'll just fall to either side. So I knew I edged early on, so I knew all the forces are going this way. Now I could get the lines under tension, and that pulled me back. So that's the number one advice I can give for Sitkite foiling. That's all I have for now. I hope you enjoyed, learned a little bit something, and it would be cool to see you out in the water. Take care, and bye-bye.
Yeah, boy! Wow, hey!
If you want to support us, you can like, subscribe, or share the video. And if you love the content, you can always make a donation via PayPal. The link is in the description below. Thanks again, stay stoked, and see you soon.